It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. Welcome to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks for joining me this morning. If this is your first time tuning into this program, this is a program designed to talk about real estate. We talk about housing at a very high level here. We talk a lot about education, setting the right expectations, helping you guys understand the process associated with buying, selling, or investing in real estate. We also talk a lot about the market. We talk about market conditions, both nationally, regionally, and locally. We apply that to us here in the Low Country so that when it comes time for you to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you've gotten a bit of an education from this program. That's what it's all about. It's just helping people separate some of the market buzz and things that you might read online from what's actually happening. It's a show that focuses a lot on truth in real estate. So I've got a lot we want to talk about over the next hour. If you'd like to reach out to me at any point in time, you're thinking about hiring a real estate agent to help you with buying or selling a home, I invite you to give me a call. My number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about myself, my team, who we are, what we do, how many homes we sell, so on and so forth. Our marketing, for those that listened to this program before, you know that I offer an industry-leading 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home. So we're taking a 20% savings right off the top in return for your interest in working with us and, of course, the opportunity to earn your business. So 2.4% listing commission. And, of course, we do still have that preferred lender we're working with wherein, let's say you're selling a house. If the buyer uses our preferred lender, they'll pay up to $5,000 of the buyer for your home's closing costs. And by the way, if you go and buy a home after you sell one here locally, that same lender will give you up to $5,000 on your closing costs. So, a bunch of ways to save money by working with my team. I invite you to give us a call or go to our website. Again, 843-345-1273 or listingsincharleston.com. Let me tell you what I want to talk about over the next hour because I've got a lot of information to go through. I say that a lot on this program, and I always tend to over-prepare in terms of what I want to say, but I want to keep it fairly simple this weekend. The first thing I want to talk about, I'll talk about it for the first half hour, is just honesty. Honesty being the best approach in real estate when it comes time to work with a real estate agent. So we're going to focus on sellers first, and then we're going to talk about buyers. A little bit later on in the program, we're going to talk about some flipping do's and don'ts. A lot of people are thinking about getting into the business of flipping real estate. I want you to be careful about that. I have a lot of experience. I've flipped several of my own properties. I've probably helped 100 or I've facilitated 100 different flips, very close to that number. Something I know a lot about, and I also have bailed out a lot of people when our market was down in the dumps that just overstretched. They overextended. They got too far, and they went from a $6,000 a month mortgage payment that was easy to make to a $700 apartment payment. And I'm not kidding about some of that stuff. And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite shows. It's a show called The Profit, featuring a guy by the name of Marcus Lemonis. He's a venture capitalist. Awesome show. If any of you like Shark Tank, you will love The Profit. So we're going to talk about some lessons from watching that show. It's an awesome program. I really do highly recommend it. So that's what we're going to talk about over the next hour. So let's kind of get right into it, shall we? Let's talk about honesty being the best approach when it comes time to sell your house. Now, I'll say this. Some of you have heard my ad throughout the week as you're listening to WTMA saying that I am not the number one realtor in Charleston, and that's true. So many people tout themselves as being number one at something, and I'm sure if I analyze stats in our marketplace, I could find a few categories our team's number one in, but the point in that advertisement is simple. People want to work with real people. I mean, yes, you're hiring a salesperson to sell your home and to help you purchase a home, and we do that extremely well. But there are way too many people in this market beating their chest at how great they are without delivering on the quality of service that they say they will, or just bottom line, producing results, which is what people really want. Now, I can say that I'm the owner, operator, and lead agent of the number one team for Keller Williams Realty. And that is true. I mean, we're the single most productive office in Charleston. But how does that help you sell your house or help you buy a house? So on this program, I talk a lot about expectations. And since I think honesty is the best approach, and that's the foundation of my business, let's just talk a little bit about what that looks like. How do we implement that? What should you expect from your agent when you're going to buy or sell a home? We're going to focus on sellers first. Let's start with the listing presentation. Let's talk a little bit about, what agents say versus what agents actually do. I mean, the basics are the basics, right? So when you list your home with a real estate agent, they're going to put it on the MLS. They're going to put a sign in the yard. It's automatically going to syndicate to Realtor.com. They're going to do some sales activities around the listing, I'm sure. But where I find a lot of agents getting themselves in trouble is taking things too far in the listing presentation. So think about it this way. I mean, there's not hardly any, but there are very few listings out there to take in comparison to a few years ago. I mean, we went from 12, almost 13,000 listings about, I think, 7 years ago to under 5,000 listings now. We've had a massive reduction in inventory. And so what they're doing now, listing agents, in order to be competitive, is they're going to tack on all of these additional sales activities that sound great that agents can do to sell homes. But in reality, I mean, once they get that listing agreement signed and take it back to the office, they don't really intend on doing some of those things they said they were going to do. And I'm not saying this to degrade agents. I'm really not. I'm just speaking from experience as somebody that sells a lot of real estate and as somebody that sells a lot of listings that were previously on the market with other agents. So I go in and I'm the problem solver. I apply my marketing plan. We look at the price. We look at the condition. We look at what went right, what went wrong, and we determine the best course of action to actually get the property sold. And obviously the sellers are frustrated because the standards described to them at the listing presentation weren't upheld, which includes things like their marketing efforts, but just and probably more importantly is communication. I mean, I have a communication guarantee in my listing agreement. It's in writing. It says that if I'm not in touch with you guys, or my team is not in touch with you guys at least once per week, from the time we list until the time we sell, you can fire me. That helps you guys understand that, I'm not here to just take your listing and give you a great show for, an hour as we walk through the house and talk about why you want to sell and why I'm so great, blah, blah, blah. It holds my feet to the fire. It's accountability. So that's, I think, something very important for you guys is to understand that there are going to be agents out there that are going to start to fluff what they can do, and you need to determine what sort of accountability measures you're going to put in place to determine whether or not they're actually going to do those things. Another perfect example of this is pricing. Everybody wants to know how much they can list their home for, how much they can expect to sell it for, and how long it will take for that to happen. And I mean, marketing is great. It's something that we truly excel in. If people don't hire us for just our experience, we've done about 1,000 transactions in the Charleston market, but if they don't hire us for our experience, they hire us for our marketing. So I get it. That's a huge part of it. But pricing and strategy are the two things that will help you organize and plan for the future, help you actually facilitate this sale. Now, everybody says they always appreciate my honesty when it comes to pricing, but I can speak honestly about pricing with them because I'm prepared to do so. Too many agents shoot from the hip when it comes to pricing. I mean, I went on an appointment yesterday or Thursday, and the seller is selling a very nice waterfront home, and they were getting range. They'd spoken with 6 or 7 agents. They came, upon my radio show. They called me. I went over there and I said, guys, here are the comps. Some of the comps they hadn't even seen from the 6 other agents that they'd interviewed. And I said, I'm going to tell you my price. Here it is. Now, out of curiosity, what are you getting from these other agents that's caused such, complexity in all of this? This really isn't that terribly hard. They said, we've had a range of $300,000, and this is a home under $1 million. So that's a very wide range for a property in that price range. Now, pricing a home effectively, in my opinion, is all about preparation. I mean, overpricing with a lack of data coupled with the seller's fear of underpricing their home and not getting enough money for it is what causes homes to sit on the market, in my opinion. Yes, there are other things, I know, condition, marketing, communication, all that good stuff. But you also have to take into consideration the fact that you have to add in the agent's fear of losing your listing. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that the agent wasn't prepared when they met with you, but they really wanted the listing. So they told you what you wanted to hear. They asked you some probing questions. They finally got out of you what you are hoping to list the property for. And they say, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Let's try that. I just had a listing presentation where the property had been on the market for about a year. They started at $1.1 million, and then they reduced all the way down to $799. Still didn't have but one showing. And then they said, well, what are we doing wrong? I was like, well, let's go through that. Let's look at these things. So number one, you've got agents that just aren't prepared, and rather than lose the listing, they're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And number two is that they've again asked those probing questions, and they find out how much you need out of the property, how much money you need to make in order to make sense out of moving. And then they just reverse engineer an asking price that's going to get you that amount. That has nothing to do with value. That is a want. You want to walk away with this amount of money, but buyers don't care how much money you want out of the sale of your home. You can also take into consideration the fact that the agent's fear of losing the listing after marketing it for a few months without selling it, and then doing some research to realize that, oh man, we really need to be like pretty far down on our price in order for this thing to actually sell. And they don't bring it up because they're afraid that if they tell you the truth about the price, that it's either going to cause you guys to say, well, wait a minute, why have we wasted all our time on the market at this price when we needed to sell? Or even worse for that agent, they're going to say, well, that doesn't accomplish our goal. We are no longer interested in selling if that's the price. And so rather than stir the pot, they prefer to just keep the listing on, not tell you that information, or be very gentle with that information. And when you say no, they say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we can keep it on the market. That's not a problem. Because even if that property doesn't, and this is what you guys have to understand, even if that property doesn't sell, because it's a seller's market, you are inevitably going to get buyers that inquire about the property. So from the real estate agent's point of view, for all these agents that are unprepared or that aren't comfortable with pricing your property or that don't have the experience or the professionalism to tell you the truth and be honest about, hey, this is what has to happen if you guys want to sell, for them, hey, at least we're getting some leads. If this listing doesn't sell, then maybe I can just sell a buyer a home from one of the people that contact me so that it's not a complete loss. So honesty, in my opinion, when you're working with an agent, is something that you should feel in your gut when you're meeting with them for the first time. Are they a genuine person? We're going to get into more of that in terms of questions to ask people when you hire a listing agent. That's coming up a little later on in the program. But first and foremost is that the agent has to be honest with you. In order to determine whether or not they're being honest, they have to be prepared. They have to provide you with the data that substantiates their claim so that you can determine whether they're being honest. They say, hey, look, the bottom line is you guys got to be at this price if you want to sell your house. Well, where's the data to prove that? If they can give you a compelling reason to trust them, then I think that you're on the right path. If, however, it is a true shoot from the hip approach, they maybe bring a few printouts of some properties, but there's no extra data associated with it. You can't see the pictures. You don't know the sales concessions. You don't know how long they've been on the market. It's just a one-page printout of a property. If I'm a seller, I'm sorry, that's not good enough for me. I need more information to make an informed decision. And again, that's what this program's all about. So when we take a break and come back, I want to talk about being honest with buyers. What does that look like? What are some things you should expect from your agent? And what should you watch out for if you're going to buy a home in this market? So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Remember, if you want to reach out to me about listing your house, please give me a call, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, 345-1273, or listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home this year. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. WTMA! Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Been doing this for 5, going on 6 years now on WTMA, selling real estate for 11. About 1,000 transactions under our collective belt as myself and my team sell real estate here in Charleston. And if you're thinking about selling or buying a house, I invite you to give us a call. My personal number, my cell number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about us, see what kind of listings we have for sale, what we've sold. Learn more about our marketing. And of course, if you're going to sell your house, 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home this year. Nobody that's selling the amount of real estate our team does is offering a commission that low. In fact, most are above the fair market rate of 6%. So I invite you to give us a call if you'd like more information on that. Again, 843-345-1273 or listingsincharleston.com. Now, before we took a break, we were talking about just being honest with people. You know, honesty with sellers, honesty with buyers. Honesty is the best approach. I was thinking as we were on our break that, you know, I've hired some new folks recently, and you know, as I'm coaching them and preparing them to enter the world of real estate, you know, I get the question of, you know, what is it that you guys are doing to sell so much real estate? I mean, what's the secret? And you know, I'm very proud to say, because I'm very proud of my team. I mean, every single day so far this year, we have either closed or put a home under contract. So we're doing very well. It's going to be our best year ever. We're very happy for my team. My agents work incredibly hard. Can't say enough nice things about them. But the answer is there is no secret. We're just honest with people. We're honest because we have the ability to be honest through the experiences we've had, through the fact that we've done almost 1,000 transactions in the Charleston market. It just allows us to approach this process with, and I never want to sound cocky, but it allows us to approach the process with confidence. And it also allows us to say that this is what we think is going to happen. This is what you should expect. And more often than not, yeah, that's the way it plays out. Sometimes we get some surprises, and of course, a really good agent knows how to problem solve and get you through those dilemmas. But honesty to us is incredibly important. When you hire a real estate agent, you have to have honesty. When you have honesty, when you have accountability, it creates trust. And it just makes for a fantastic working relationship, which is really what everybody's after, right? Is the ability to trust the person you've hired, to be a professional, and to say, Brian, what do we need to do in order to make this the best transaction possible? That's my little rant about that. Let's talk about honesty with buyers. So, how do typical buyers behave when they decide they want to buy a house? They go online shopping, right? And then they start to look at properties they've seen online. What do they want? They want 2 basic things. They want to be shown properties whenever they are available, and they want a good deal. Those 2 things are always consistent. What do agents do? Well, they start showing the buyer a bunch of properties the buyers have selected and want to see, and all of this seems like, you know, a natural progression of events, right? Well, here's basically what happens. Once they see something they like, you know, assuming that, you know, the buyer's going online, they've decided they want to buy a house, they click on a bunch of properties, they say, we want to see these properties. Maybe one agent shows them all. Maybe the listing agents are showing them the property. And then they get excited enough to where they say, wow, I really want to make an offer on this property. So they see something they like. One of 2 things is going to happen. They're going to make a quick decision, and they're going to try to negotiate on the price of the house because they want a deal. And, you know, since we're in a seller's market, anything off the asking price of the house is kind of synonymous with a deal, right? So that's the way they're going to approach it. Number 2 is that they're going to realize, holy cow, we haven't really analyzed this market yet. So they decide to take some time to do that. They also realize, as they're analyzing the market, they've got a bunch of questions about how this process actually works, a bunch of what happens next or what does this mean type questions. So they'll sit down with their agent, they'll analyze the market, they'll analyze the comps, then they'll take time to get pre-approved for a mortgage. And then after all that's done, they'll make an offer. Well, what's the problem with that? Unfortunately, again, we're in a seller's market. So there's likely more than one buyer interested in that property at that time. And since they've taken time after the fact, after the identification of the property they want to buy, to analyze the market and answer questions and get pre-approved, you're looking at least a day or two, probably more like 3 days, depending upon the lender you choose, to get all of that stuff done in order to make an offer. And now so much time has passed that if it's a good home, priced well, in good condition, and marketed properly, it will probably sell pretty quickly in most price ranges. If we're talking about $1 million home, something that takes a little longer to sell, unique property, obviously that's different. But if you take the time to do all that stuff after the fact, you run a very serious risk of now being in multiple offers or having that property already go under contract. I mean, my buyer agents are incredibly diligent about calling listing agents and saying, hey, do you have any offers on this property? I'm showing it tomorrow. Or, hey, we just viewed this property. We're going to go back and talk about it. Do you have any offers? Will you let me know if you get one? Sometimes agents do the courtesy of saying, yeah, we're going to get an offer tomorrow. Have it in by then. Obviously, that would be within the seller's best interest because now the seller has multiple offers to choose from. It's a more competitive environment. You also have to understand that if an agent that's marketing the property finds the buyer, they stand to earn twice the commission. Why would they let me know, an agent from a different brokerage representing a buyer, that another offer's coming in when they stand to earn twice as much money? Is that ethical? Not really. It's not necessarily not unethical or not ethical, but it happens. So what should the buyer do? They should sit down with the real estate agent before they go shopping. Number one, they should get pre-approved. There is nothing worse than spending a bunch of time, both for the agent and for the buyer. And I'm being honest on my end too. I don't want to show a buyer 30 properties, go through all that, and then find a property we love, negotiate a deal, and then find out they can't get a mortgage. That's poor planning. So you have to get pre-approved first, in my opinion. You have to understand what your limitations are. If we find a property that's listed at $440,000 and you can only afford $380,000, does it make sense to view that property if in reality it's probably worth $425,000? Are they going to sell it to you for $380,000 in this market? Probably not. And that's, again, me being honest. But when you sit down with your agent, you need to talk about some things. You need to talk about the market. You need to understand the trends within it. That agent has to do a very good job of explaining that to you. And if they can't, maybe you decide to interview another agent. You should also talk about the process. How are things going to, what's the timeline of events here? What needs to happen at certain points in time to make sure this is a smooth transaction? You also need to identify properties by working together. So many times in this is how real estate has changed, by the way. Back years and years ago, before I was selling real estate, I'm 32 years old. I've been doing this for 11 years, right when I got out of college. So back in the day, when the TVs were black and white, no, not that far back, but agents used to carry around a book of listings. You could not share those listings with the public. It was for agent eyes only. So a buyer would come up to an agent and say, this is what I want. And then based on that search criteria, the agent would look at the market and the agent would say, based on your search criteria, I believe these are the 5 best homes for you. We use the same approach. Obviously, we want our buyers to be involved. We want them to look. We want them to spend time determining what they like and don't like. And yeah, it might take us a few trips to really understand what is acceptable, what they want, what they need, what they desire, so that we can formulate a game plan and find that perfect home. But I think for the buyers that go about it backwards, find the property first and then do all the due diligence, that's when they get frustrated because they lose the deal. And then they're disheartened. And then, because they don't want that to happen ever again, guess what happens? You bid up the property maybe a little more than you probably should out of fear of losing another deal. That's what happens. It's also our job as agents, again, to prepare you. But here are some questions that, you need to understand when you're working with a real estate agent in terms of what to ask, which is that once we go under contract, tell me more about that process. What am I going to expect? What's reasonable if I get a home inspection and we find a long list of things to fix? Anything from a loose toilet or a door latch on a door that doesn't close properly to serious structural issues. Where is the fine line here between asking too much and jeopardizing the sale and asking for all of it? Your agent needs to be able to explain that to you. What happens if we make an offer in a multiple offer situation and it appraises for less than what we made the offer for? What are our options here? Does it make sense to still move forward if we're paying more than appraised value for the property? I will tell you honestly that sometimes the answer is yes. I mean, look at downtown Charleston. You think it's easy to appraise a property in downtown Charleston? Think again. There is such a wide variance in the features and the condition and everything that goes into those luxury properties, those historic properties. Good luck finding 3 appraisers that can agree on a specific price. It's not going to happen. That even happens with, kind of the average homes in our market. So you need to understand, what should you expect once the property goes under contract? What are your obligations? What deadlines do you have to achieve? It's our job as real estate agents to protect you contractually from losing your earnest money, make sure you don't get taken advantage of, and make sure you hit your contractual deadlines and close on time. But we also consult you through the decision-making process. And again, last thing, me being honest, make sure you don't do anything stupid. I mean, there are points in time where I have had to have very real conversations with my client where I've had to say, guys, look, you're in the driver's seat. You're the one making the decisions here. I'd like to offer you my opinion, because if I think you're going to do something that in the end is going to hurt you, I at least want you to know, because I'm the one this is my day job. So let me tell you what I think is going to happen if you decide to go down that path. So it's about consultation. It's about setting the right expectations, about being brutally honest. And it's about the agent determining, can I achieve your goals in a timely manner or not? If somebody walks into my office and they say, hey, I want to buy a property for $100,000 and put in some paint and carpet and sell it for $180,000, I'm going to say, man, I wish you the best of luck. If you find one, let me know too. I'll pay $120,000 for it. We just have to set some right expectations. You do that by having a very real conversation with your agent, which over time will lead to a very real relationship, one built on trust, with honesty, accountability, and ultimately what we all want, which is results. You get the home you want. We get paid in return. By the way, we're paid by the seller. Buyers don't pay us anything. That's the way commissions work in South Carolina. The seller pays the commission to the buyer agent. So it's free to work with a buyer agent, which is why it kills me when buyers stroll into a new construction community and they talk with the site agent and then they just work with the site agent to get their home built. They have no representation on there, and that agent represents the builder. Yeah, they're technically a dual agent. They should represent both parties fairly. But why not have an agent fight for you? Hopefully, the new construction process goes really smoothly, and you don't have to get into those kinds of heated conversations. But I'll tell you, I'd say more than 50% of the time, I have had to really put my foot down and kind of wear the hat of a jerk at times to get things done for my clients because the builders didn't want to do it. Sometimes they're pretty major too. So just a little sidebar, if you're thinking about building a house, there is absolutely no reason why you would not have an agent on your side representing you and coaching you through that process. So when we come back, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about some questions to ask an agent when you decide to sell your house. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. And remember, if you want to reach out to me about selling your house or buying one, we offer a 2.4% listing commission, lowest you're going to find for somebody doing the amount of deals we do, to help you with that. 843-345-1273 is my cell, and listingsincharleston.com is the website. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Thanks for joining me this morning as we talk about real estate here in the Low Country. I always like to take a little bit of time and just say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and rely on the advice and the insight and the things that I say, and hopefully some of you take something from this program. That's the goal, obviously. It's an educational program. I want you guys to understand the market. I want you to know what's going on with regard to prices, sales, inventory, all that fun stuff. But I also want you to understand how this whole thing works. You know, when I buy or sell a house, what's going to happen? What should I expect? How do I know how to separate the good agents from the not so good agents? How do I know when people are really on their game or when they're just kind of giving me the sales pitch? And so there's a show that I watch Some of you may have seen it. Some of you may have heard about it. It's called The Profit, and it's with Marcus Lemonis. And he buys failing businesses and focuses on three major things, which is what I've really, it's really rung a bell with me, is people, product, and process. I mean, it's my favorite show. I mean, it's kind of like Shark Tank, but in Shark Tank, people are pitching new business ideas to the sharks, whereas in The Profit, Marcus is going into businesses with extreme potential, but faulty leadership or a bad product or a bad process. Usually, almost all of these businesses have bad processes. And they go in and he fixes it up and he turns them into gold mines. It's awesome. I love the show. Highly recommend it. But, here's what I want to say about this program and how it relates to you, somebody listening to this program that might end up buying or selling a home here in the future. And, I guess let me go back. In 2006, I was Entrepreneur of the Year for creating a real estate-based online marketing company. So when we talk about how to engage people online and employ processes to convert these online shoppers into actual tangible business, it's something that we excel at at a very high level. And it's the foundation of running a successful company in today's age, is being internet savvy. And I want to say this, I could pay for all of the marketing in the world, right? But if I don't have strategic processes and people in place to respond immediately to inquiries or nurture them through the sales process and provide value and communicate with them effectively and intelligently, then I'm just running a run-of-the-mill business. I'm a run-of-the-mill business owner. And that's what's hard for people to see when they're interviewing a real estate agent, is how effective are they at running their business and getting it done. And I hope that makes sense to y'all. I mean, it's really important. So I'll say it again. When you're selling a home, yes, it's important to price it correctly and ensure the home is show ready and in good condition and that the marketing has all the bells and whistles both buyers and sellers are looking for these days. But the effectiveness of a business is in how they run their business. For me, that means having a very clearly defined standard on my real estate team in terms of how we approach each inquiry, each new client, each new offer to buy and sell, well and organized, efficient internal systems, all of that without ever compromising our dedication to fantastic customer service. So that's what it means for my team. So here are some things that you can ask an agent you're about to hire to sell your home that revolves around these kind of 3 or 4 things. The people, product, and process. The fourth is progress. And I have a real estate coach. He coaches other top agents in the country, doing more deals than I am, by the way. Some of these teams are doing like 900 transactions a year, which is crazy and awesome. But we focus on progress as well. So here's how to apply that to an interview when you're looking at hiring a listing agent. First one is people. Do you have a team or do you work by yourself? If you have a team, how is it structured? I mean, on my team, I'm different from most teams out there. You've seen all these teams that have emerged over the past few years. So they have this figurehead. They've got the person that is the face of the company, and they're the ones with all the experience. They're the ones that are well known in the market. So people naturally are attracted to that team because they know that person or because they've done a good job of explaining to the public that, hey, I'm somebody worthwhile. So you contact them and say, yeah, that's the kind of guy that I want to hire. But you don't really end up ever working with that guy. They're absent. They're the owner. They're the figurehead. For me, I have set up my team to support my interest in working with sellers. I have 7 buyer agents that work with buyers. I have a additional co-listing agent that helps me. And then I have administrative staff. I have a closing coordinator to take everything from contract to close efficiently. That's all they do. They specialize in that. And then we've got photographers, marketing department, inside sales, all that fun stuff. But it's all revolving around my interest in being available and in being the agent that my sellers hired me to be. So that's something very important that you need to ask is, what sort of interaction am I going to have from you, listing agent, or are you just here to get the listing and then I'm just going to work with your team for the rest of the time? So that's important. Second is product. Tell me what you're going to do specifically outside of entering the property in the MLS to proactively market my home for sale. What are some of the specific activities and marketing platforms you're going to use to create exposure for my home in return for the commission I'm going to pay you? Third is process. What happens once I sign these documents? What's the timeline associated with getting the property on the market and providing me with updates? How are you going to handle showings? How are you going to handle feedback? If you are going with a team, what's your role and what can I expect from you as well as from other people on the team? What happens when someone inquires about my home? What happens if we're not under contract in 90 days from now? All of that stuff should be discussed. And then the last is progress. How many homes have you sold in the past 12 months? I mean, personally, if I were selling a home in a market that I didn't know anything about, I wouldn't hire an agent that was selling less than 2 homes per month. And frankly, if they're going to sell 24 homes per year, at least half of those have to be listings. Most agents, most people look at agent and say, how many homes have you sold? Well, I've sold 50 homes. Well, if 40 of them were buyers and only 10 were sellers, is that the same? Is that the same level of experience you're looking for? What I will tell you is that the skill set of a listing agent is significantly different from the skill set of a buyer agent. Yes, we do similar things. We negotiate contracts, we consult our clients, we analyze markets, we do all that fun stuff. But the skill of a listing agent in creating exposure at a massive level as quickly as possible, and then controlling the process of, converting interest that's received to actual business is an acquired skill that happens over time. You also need to ask things like, what are your average days on market? How long does it take you to put something under contract? How many listings that you take actually sell? What's the percentage there? Are you just out there taking a ton of listings and it's a numbers game? If 3 out of 10 sell, then you got to go get 10 listings a month in order to sell 3 a month. Is that what we're after here? For me personally, when people ask me, how are you selling so much real estate? I was like, man, I walk away from a lot of business. And that's the truth. Because people are hiring me to be a professional. They're hiring me to be honest, which goes back to the first and second segment of this program, in that if people have a goal in mind, I want to know what that goal is. It's not going to change my perception of the value of your home. And that, I think, is the big difference. Hey, I want to help you accomplish your goal, but no matter what your goal is, I'm going to tell you what the market should bear for your home. I'm going to give you the expectations based on what's happening in the market, not based on what's going to make you comfortable. And that's something that my clients appreciate, because agents aren't really doing that. They're saying, well, how much money do you need to sell your house? Okay, you need $200,000. Well, that means that we can list it for $229,000, build in some negotiating room, and you'd walk away with about $200,000, maybe a little more. Does that sound good? Great, let's work together. How much you need out of the house has nothing to do with what it's worth in the eyes of a buyer. So anyways, you need to be asking some of these probing questions. Really, do not be afraid to ask hard-hitting questions. You need to. You need to understand whether or not this agent is who they say they are. And are they going to do what they say they're going to do? And what happens if they don't? Let's talk about that up front, right? But the last thing is that you need to ask yourself as a seller 3 things. Can I trust this person? Do they care about me and my goals? And do I honestly believe that they can create results for me? If the answer to all 3 of those things are yes, then at that point in time, you are just looking for the agent that's got the best track record, the best package, the best ability to achieve your goals. But if any of those answers are no, I would put a stop to it right then and there and say that, for me at least, that would be the end of the conversation. There would be no working together. If I can't trust the person, if I don't think they care about me and my goals, or if I don't honestly believe that they can create results for me, why move forward? So many agents earn business out of the favor of the client. Hey, it's my sister's friend's uncle, and he's been in real estate for 20 years. So give him a shot, give him a few months, see what he can do. Okay. But they're not interviewing him. So that's, I think, what you need to ask yourself, those hard-hitting, important questions. And then at the end of the day, a little self-reflection. Are they being honest with me? Can I trust them? Did they provide me with the information that I need in order to feel comfortable hiring them to help me with this incredibly important decision in my life? So if you'd like to reach out to me, you want more information on what we do to sell properties, feel free to give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And remember, 2.4% listing commission to sell your home this year. So stick around for just a few more minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, for the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. You know, we've talked a lot this morning about honesty. Honesty between the client and the agent. How important that is to the process when you're going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. It's something that I've built my business on. I think it's incredibly important. So if you've missed any part of that, you're welcome to go to my website. I'll have this weekend show on the website first part of next week. Listingsincharleston.com is the website. Listingsincharleston.com, or you can call me 843-345-1273 if you're thinking about buying or selling a home. Again, 843-345-1273. And again, remember, 2.4% commission on the listing side to help you sell your home. That's a 20% savings to you guys up front, in addition to all the fun stuff we do with our preferred lender, which can offer up to $10,000 in savings there. So what I want to talk about for the last few minutes are some do's and don'ts of flipping homes. And so I've had some conversations recently with people that want to get into the flipping game. I have flipped several properties myself with my own money. I've probably facilitated close to 100 flips in my career. It's a lot of what I did. I also helped a lot of people get out of really bad situations that overextended themselves. You know, I got licensed when I was 21. I turned 22 in 2006. By 2008, the market was, in the dumps. So I had to get very good at short sales and foreclosures, and I did. And I rose to the top 1% of agents in our market by being an expert in that field. And so as as part of that, I worked with a lot of investors to help them purchase property. And that's why I got into real estate in the first place. The commission that I earn on the sales is all well and good. It pays the bills. It funds a great life. But the wealth is built in real estate ownership. So that's why I got into real estate. So for those of you that are thinking about getting into flipping, I have a list here of do's and don'ts. And unfortunately, I don't have time to read the don'ts. But I tell you what, I will put this on my website, listingsincharleston.com, and you can go to it right after this show, and I'll have it up there. So let me just quickly read to you some of the do's, okay? So the first thing you have to do is make sure that you are in this to win it. Flipping is extremely high risk. It is very stressful. It puts a lot of stress on your family if you're married and you have kids. Look at all these shows where they're making $10,000 a pop on the flip, but they're flipping several homes a month. They have serious amounts of cash outlay to do this, and it's their full-time job. So if you have a full-time job and you're going to be an evenings and weekend flipper, just make sure. Well, first, you can just have a conversation with me. I'll tell you guys what to expect, but make sure that you guys are okay with the incredible level of risk and time and patience and energy and money this is probably going to take. Because look, everybody wants to find the home that needs just the carpet and the paint, and they flip it and make $20,000, right? You got to be in the right place at the right time, and you might find one of those every few years. They're just so hard to find because everybody's looking. So let's go through some of these do's, right? Number one is hire good people. Before you flip, not after, so you have your team in place and are ready to go when you buy your house. Make sure you make some smart choices in who you hire. And really a smart way to go about your flip is by taking your contractors with you to the first tour of the property so that they can give you estimates on repairs immediately so that you're not surprised by the amount of repairs you're going to need after you put the property under contract, or God forbid you don't do any of that and you buy it and then you do it. Not a good idea. Do all that first. Also, secure your financing ahead of time. Winging it probably won't yield you the best results, especially if you don't have a good handle on how much your flip is really going to cost. Third number do is to pay attention to the market. Analyze it for opportunities based on growth and the economy, new jobs coming in. Keep up with interest rates, real estate trends. All of that's going to make you successful when you flip a property because it's going to help you add an additional layer of should I buy this property and flip it or not. Another do is to pay attention to your neighborhood. This means taking a look at what's going on there. Who lives there? What are the real estate values like? Is there a lot of variance in real estate values, or are they all pretty much the same? If they're all pretty much the same, you have a pretty good expectation of what you're going to sell it for. If they're all over the place, you better know what you're doing because you could lose a lot of money if you thought you were able to sell it for more than you could. And that takes me to pricing. Price it right. Don't be too aggressive about pricing. I mean, if you do the flip and you realize, holy cow, I spent 20 grand more than I thought I was going to. If it didn't change the value of the real estate because you incurred more cost, you can't make it up. I'm sorry. That's not necessarily how that works. So that takes me to another is know your limits. If you're planning to do the whole tile floors in all the bathrooms yourself and you've never done that before, maybe you should take that into consideration. Maybe maybe help somebody, find somebody that's a contractor or handyman that knows how to do it and ask to do it alongside him. A lot of this is going to be an education for you. So just know your limits. If you don't know how to do plumbing, I don't suggest doing plumbing, and you better not try electrical if you don't know how to do it, because man, that's some scary stuff. I don't touch electrical. But then the last thing really is to just be honest with yourself about these costs and about the home criteria. If you go through a market and you think that, or a house, and you think that you can replace the kitchen for 10 grand and it's 25, that was your mistake. You need to do more research. Same thing is, you be smart with your home criteria. If a one bedroom that needs repair isn't selling, but one bedrooms are taking a long time to sell, one bedrooms are still going to take a long time to sell. You haven't changed the market dynamics. So I'll put all the don'ts on my website, listingsincharleston.com. Feel free to reach out to me if you want more information, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Thanks a lot, Charleston. Have a great weekend, and thanks for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.